All right, fine. I'll be a gracious host. How you doing?
Little Mermaid is the scariest Disney movie by far, though.
Why the hell is Ace Blade in your Kickstarter?
Some comics. I'm getting controversial today. We're gonna get controversial today with
my proudest moment is this interview and being able to talk to you two.
what are you waiting for? What's going on?
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, Tours Comics in collaboration with the Fourth Wall Productions respectfully brings to you the 103rd episode of the Four Tales podcast. I am your host, Kyron Silva from Tours Comics. Across the way is the amethyst auteur of Ace Blade, Danny J. Quick, and together we are your two award-winning Blurred comic creators here to help you find your next favorite comic. We are live on the Age of Geekdom Network via Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, and YouTube, and Danny's TikTok, apparently. So if you're listening and watching us live, thank you for your support. But don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and review this podcast because all your positive reviews and interactions help us reach a bigger audience.
Like the beam.
We did. We won yesterday. I forgot to post that.
I was expecting that. I don't know what happened. Hold on, I got you. Like the beam.
Wait. I think I got it. Hold on. I got it. I got it right here.
Like the beam. Hey, there we go. What's up? Officially in the comments, Doom Smith. What's happening with y'all this morning? It's good to see y'all this early.
People up early to see Sean Mack today.
Gotta do it. Gotta do it. How you been doing, brother? Man, it's been. I feel like I haven't talked to you as much this week as I normally do.
Well, you've been going through some trauma this week, so
yeah, I'm sick. I got a pinched nerve in my back and my arm.
You need to stop pimp slapping your kids. That's what's happening.
No, I think I haven't done it enough. I gotta exercise I've been easing up on them, and now my arms are getting stiff. I need to get it together.
No, this week's been busy though for both of us. I mean, I'm still recovering from autocorrect. Just don't like blurs. Wow, autocorrect racist.
We know what you meant. It's okay.
No, but I'm still recovering from Black Comics Day. Shout out to Keith and Jones. That was an amazing show. Had a great time. Sold a bunch of crap, honestly.
All the pictures, man. It looked like y'all had a great time, man. It was good audience out there. He did a good job marketing it. And I hope I can get out there one year.
Got to see TJ Sterling in person.
Mm-hmm.
Greg. Keith and Jones, of course.
Yeah. Wasn't Jason Reeves out there?
Jason Reeves was there. Yeah. He's actually our guest next week.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah,
awesome.
And got to see your boy Brian Lambert.
Brian J. Lambert, yes.
And Malachi Bailey, actually. I don't want to leave out Malachi also.
I was out there.
Malachi's been on our show before.
A lot of great characters, a lot of great people, and a lot of great creators, and it's awesome to be able to get in one place. So I heard that they didn't invite you out to eat. What was up with that?
Apparently, I just wasn't in the group chat for that. Like, I was there. They saw me there, but they didn't want to invite your boy, which is cool because I went home to my hotel room each day and just crashed every night. So I don't think I could have been that fun to be with.
I'm not a big hangout after show type guy either. I go and take a shower immediately and go to sleep. Like, that's my thing. So
best thing though, I found out I'm taller than Jason.
What?
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about. It looked like, I think from the pictures, it looked like you and Carrie are about the same height, and Brian Lambert, I think he's about the same height as y'all.
He was a little bit taller. He and TJ were a little bit taller than me.
TJ seems taller on the internet than I think he actually is.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah,
he seems like he's about 6'2", 6'3" on the internet, but I think he's more around, the 5'11".
Yeah. Keith and those tall. That's a tall motherfucker right there.
Yeah, I believe it. So you read any comics this week?
I did actually. I read Ka the Cro-Magnon Part 2, or Issue 2, I
Nice.
should say, by Fish Lee Comics.
By the
Also
marvelous
read
ship.
Fish Tales by Fish Comics, so I
Yep.
read that. I finished Saga of the Swamp Thing, Book 2.
Okay.
Yeah, it's from the 80s, the Alan Moore run of Saga of the Swamp Thing.
Yeah. Okay. I was about to let it go. I don't know.
I mean, my wife bought it for me a few weeks ago, and I just finally got to it. So it was a thick book too.
That's good.
I think that's all I read though. What about
Okay.
you?
I got started. I got caught up on Transformers, the
Oh,
Daniel Warren Johnson series. I'm gonna read Duke and Cobra Commander this week. I also bought the Thundercats #1 that just dropped. I got a couple copies of it actually, and I'll be reading. I'm gonna be reading that soon too. So I'm trying to get the '80s nostalgia, even though I didn't start reading comics until the late '90s. So I'm gonna jump in and see how it do.
so did you get that Liefeld color?
I did get the Liefeld cover, but Fish, I didn't read it yet. I gotta actually sit down. Today is the day. We're cleaning up, doing laundry, and then I'm actually gonna read some comics today. So there we go. There we go.
Nice work on Super Heresy Showcase, Kyron. Didn't realize that you drew some of that when I backed it. Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, I
Kyron's
do a
always.
lot. I do a lot of work that people don't know I did.
We gotta get your marketing together. And thankfully, our guest on today is a master marketer. Um, the CEO and CEO of Short Fuse Media Group, and now the owner of a barbershop and comic book store, Cuts and Comics. Mr. Sean Mack himself is in the building. What it do? How you doing, Sean?
What's going on? What's going on? Yeah, get the claps. Get the claps.
I feel like we should have some
I got
type
one
of
clap.
applause when people come on.
We should have that for sure.
Yeah. Y'all lacking behind on that. Y'all should have some clapping going on.
We gotta get a producer or something, like somebody with some sound effects. It would be nice.
Hey, that's you should do a job posting. They work. I do job postings. They actually work. It's kind of shocked that they work.
I believe it. But that's good though, man. So, for anybody who might not know who you are, I think our whole audience probably does know you. Give us a quick rundown of your time in comics, and tell us what you're working on now.
My time in comics. Let's see. I founded Short Fuse Media Group. Put out a lot of comics. I'm doing my Facebook blurb right now, and helped a lot of creators. That's my time in comits. Beyond that, I retired from making comics for about two, maybe 3 years, almost 3 years. Started to get the itch back, and I'm gonna try and come back and do some new stuff. But before I got into that, I launched Cuts and Comics, the world's first barbershop and comic book store in one. And it's been real fun. It's been a lot of fun. Got a lot of good feedback on it.
I got a question before we get into.
I knew this was coming.
Before we, how did you get your partner to fuse the cuts and the comics? I've been trying. My wife does hair. She's a cosmetologist, and I had this idea long time ago, and I said, "Yo, we should save some money, do all this in one space." Tiana was like, "Hey, the environment of a hair salon, is not quite." She's like, "The environment of the hair salon is not quite."
She was trying to be nice to you, say she don't want to be partners with you.
You don't need random people coming in. It's a safe space for people to vent. It's more of a therapy thing. And I'm like, yeah, I hear all that, but what I really hear is you don't want to work with me,
right? Yeah.
So how did you get your partner to agree to this idea, or was it her idea?
So funny story, because this whole topic actually came up too, and you were brought up. Javon Stokes was there, so he's a witness. Me and Victor talked about it at FS Con this past FS Con, and the thing about it is, what I want to put this out there first and foremost. I did not get the idea from you, Danny. that was a part of the discussion. Did I get the idea for Cuts and Comics from you? Because we knew that your wife had a salon. We knew that you had the Fourth Wall studio, and you had books in there. And the thing is, I always had the concept in mind. I've owned barbershops before in Detroit. So I've owned barbershops before. I worked at Comic City in Detroit, which is a 4-chain. At the time, it was a 4-chain, the largest and the most popular comic book retail chain in the Detroit area. I worked there, learned the whole business from the great Bob Smithers. If he checks it out, if I shared it somewhere, he'll know exactly what I'm talking about. He showed me all the behind the scenes on actually running the comic store. I actually worked in his warehouse as the warehouse manager, and there was some discussion about going further than that, but I ended up having to leave Comic City, and that's a whole nother story. But as far as the doing it as one, I always thought, and even back to the time when LaShawn Colvin, rest in peace, was launching her comic store, and she asked me to come out there. She asked me to come out there and help her get everything set up, which I did. I went out there and helped her get everything set up, helped her with fixtures and all of that stuff, selecting fixtures. And one of the things that she asked me when she launched was, "Do you think this is a good idea?" And my response was no. I don't think it's a good idea. Whether or not it ended up being successful or not, she was asking me in my opinion. And that was like my sister. We talked like really about detailed stuff. We talked about stuff outside of comics. And she asked me, did I think it was a good idea? And I said, no. And she said, well, why? And she was like, you never wanted to open a comic book store. And I said, no, I'm planning on opening a comic book store. So she laughed. She said, well, you said no to me, but you're telling me you're going to open one. And I said, well, the thing about it is with comic book stores, for me knowing the back end, I know that the means of making a profit off of a comic book store and the way to make sales, it's a slim profit margin. I think you had Todd Johnson on here just a couple, I think 2 episodes ago, and he said the same thing. See, I watch the show. Todd even said, yeah, very thin profit margins when you're dealing with retail and comics. So my thing was, if I was going to do a comic book store, I needed to do something that would, one, to Todd's point again, bring people in the door. Barbershops always bring people in the door. Plus, again, I had a barbershop before. And then on top of that, kind of contradicting your point with you and your wife, barbershops and comic book stores, the intent is to have conversation. Now, you have a lot of comic book stores right now where the owners are recluses, and they don't do a lot of talking, besides when it's like game day and stuff like that. I'm totally different in that. I'll go in the comic book store and I want to talk to somebody, and I wanted somebody to be able to talk to me about the comics that's going around. So for us, it was like, how do you bridge the barbershop conversations with comic book conversations? Well, you get the right people in there, you should be able to do that. And I think that's what we're doing now. We're actually bridging that where the conversations actually blend together. And like I said, it was a conversation, and I know I'm rambling on, but it was a conversation at FSCon when Javon Stokes was there, where Victor was like, hey, did you get the idea from Danny having the shop and his wife having the shop? And I said, well, I've never been there, so I don't know what it looks like. I was like, that's the first thing. I was like, and LaShawn, I wish she was around. She could attest that I had this idea years and years and years ago. And the end of the day, I thought you kind of missed the boat on that one.
No,
I thought you kind of missed the boat on that one. I thought it would have been a good idea.
Again, like I said, we had the idea, but like somebody said in the comics, a barbershop is definitely a better vibe than a hair. I think your partner is a barber, right? Or is she a cosmetologist? Is it? I know there's a difference, but is she doing just haircuts, or is it a full service like hair salon in there?
So Reagan is a cosmetologist. She's not a barber. She's a cosmetologist. And she can do it all. She specializes in hair cutting though. So that's a plus. So, can she do braids and can she do all different hairstyles? Yes, it's a matter of does she want to. So Reagan, a little background on her. She was a manager at Great Clips. She was a manager at Sports Clips. I'm saying that with the quotes. So she has a niche audience, people that she specializes in cutting in. Can she cut all hair? Yes, she can fade, she can do it all, but she likes to cut a certain demographic is the word that she specializes in.
I'm hearing you.
Yeah, but she does it all. I mean, she's my barber. She cuts my hair. She keeps me crispy, and I don't think anybody's ever seen me without a haircut, especially in the last 2 years. So yeah, I just lucked up. End of the day, I lucked up by having a barber as my wife, and it just all went hand in hand. So yeah, the idea was there, and then the situation presented itself. She actually went gung ho with it. Like, we wouldn't even have the shop and everything if she didn't go full fledged. I was actually out of town when she got everything set up. I was traveling at my day job, and she got everything set up, and I came home like, we got a shop now, and I'm like, oh, okay,
See,
all right,
there's another
yeah,
common thing we have in common. Tiana will
yeah,
do it to me all the time. I'll be
yeah.
gone for a couple of days, come back and be like, when did we decide to put in new floors in the house?
Yes.
Like, here's a hammer. You got to finish this. Okay, cool. I guess that's what we're doing, which is cool. I love Tiana to death, and that's part of the thing that keeps us, keeps the spontaneity in the relationship for sure.
For sure.
No, man, congratulations on it, man. If
Thank you.
anybody says that you got the idea from me, no, man, we did not have this conversation. It's just a similar thing. It's not the same. It's a similar thing, and I wish you all the luck, man. I wish y'all all the success, man. It's me and you. We've had conversations in the past, some tough conversations, but mostly good stuff, man. Mostly good conversations, man. So, I say let's get into it, man. Since we already talked about Cousin Comics, tell us what happened. I know people in the comments want to know. Tell us what happened with Short Fuse, man. They've already heard my perspective. They heard, Morgan. We've talked about this before, but tell us what happened with Short Fuse from your perspective.
Okay, so let's start off with this. Let's try something a little different. Because I was offline for 2-3 years. Let me get y'all perspective. Because I haven't heard it. What was your perspective?
Short Fuse, man, it was just so like I tell people all the time, man, I'm the type of person that likes to try new things. And my experience with Short Fuse was a positive one because I look at things positively. You know what I'm saying? I look at what I can learn. So like I said before, the marketing for Short Fuse was we always deliver, right? The we always deliver is what grabbed me because in that time I had problems with delivering comic books. My whole thing was I hate the logistics of when somebody orders or somebody is on Kickstarter, making sure that every person gets their comics and that they're safe, they come packaged in the mail and all that stuff. So, I joined up with Short Fuse because of that. I took that opportunity. I learned a lot from you and Mike about how to deliver comics, with us regular people making comics, y'all see. Um, I learned a lot about that process in that process, and of course with marketing also. I learned a lot about social media and how to market myself as a comic book creator too. So you know, at the end there, there were some times where we couldn't get a hold of you. You was going through some things at different times, and Mike was trying to fill in the best he could, but Mike's not you. So we were always trying to look and get to you, but there was a lot of times that we just couldn't get to you for one reason or another. And at the end of the day, I think you wanted to turn everything over to Mike when you were thinking about retiring. And Mike didn't want to take on Short Fuse. He wanted to do his own thing with Freestyle Comics in the end. And to me, that's fine. That's absolutely, his decision, and I understand, other people might have other perspectives, but to me, it was it was mostly positive because I came out the back end knowing logistics, man. I ship comics better than anybody. Well, I ain't gonna say better than anybody. I'm top 5 comic book shippers. I'm top 5 comic book indie shippers right now. I know. And as far as marketing goes, I'm decent with that too. So, I learned a lot during my time with Short Fuse, and I just take it and apply it to what we're doing with Ace Blade, King Supreme Lumberjacks now. So, from my perspective, it wasn't terrible. It was bad in the moment because we were thinking that this was going to be a 6-year, 10-year plan, and it just didn't happen like that. But to me, it's mostly positive. So that's what I've been telling people. I think me and Morgan, like when we talk about the situation, we talk about the good things that happened. And I think people just had such high hopes for Short Fuse that it was disappointing to see it end so quickly. So that was my perspective. So I
Okay.
want to hear from your perspective.
Okay, so for me, I think the perspective definitely is going to be different. Some people may say bias, some people may not. I just go on historical things. Michael's name for me was Sean by the numbers Mack. So we stick to the numbers for me. And for me, Short Fuse didn't end on a bad note. It didn't end to me abruptly. You had pointed out in one post that I had said I was going to retire a year prior. I had said it a year prior, and the experience that I had with Short Fuse was great. It taught me a lot. It taught me about working with people. It taught me things that I was willing to tolerate and willing to deal with, and taught me things that I wasn't going to deal with and not going to tolerate. But at the end of the day, I look at what people that worked at Short Fuse have went on to do, and I look at that as a success for Short Fuse. So to get into more details, let's get spicy. Let's get spicy a little bit.
There you go. There you go.
Just to get spicy a little bit, my decision to end Short Fuse. So to be clear with everybody, it was my decision to end Short Fuse. I'm the one that decided to shut it down. It wasn't, and Danny, you were there. It wasn't that everybody on the roster had issues. We didn't have any outstanding things by the time I retired. Everything was pretty much resolved. When I quote unquote was hard to get a hold of, which Michael put out to people, I went through some medical issues. And the thing about it is, prior to even now, I've never been on social media talking about my personal life. I've never done that. It's always been about business. So, I went through some medical issues, and while I was going through those issues, when I came back from those medical issues, I had receipts, because we all know I always get receipts. I had receipts of a lot of things that were said about me, a lot of things that were said about the company. And to be honest, I just didn't like it. I didn't like it. And I felt, for as much as, Short Fuse had did for our own creators, as well as just the entire community, I didn't feel a lot of that was warranted. So it made me, take a step back. It made me take a step back and really look at the operation. When I looked at the operation, I looked at things that I wanted to change within Short Fuse, and I made the decision that, I pushed some agendas, not agendas. That's a bad word. Everybody hates that word. I pushed some directives that I wanted to take place. And you'll recall one being that, hey, I thought that every project that we did we were at the point where it should have hit $10,000. We're just gonna speak with numbers. I said every project we do should hit $10,000. And if it wasn't hitting $10,000, I thought something was wrong. And we needed to start figuring out what it was, because in our operation, which we operated from 2014 to 2021, that's a decent amount of time for an indie publisher, especially an indie publisher doing what we were doing, which was housing multiple creators. I think at one time we had 18 different creators on the roster, with books released from pretty much all of them except maybe two. So, and books coming out consistently, multiple Kickstarters. I mean, we funded over 20 Kickstarters direct, that's kind of crazy, and back to your line of, we always deliver on every single project that we put out. We delivered on every single project. There is not a single project from the Short Fuse history that we did not deliver on. So,
Everybody can't say that, man. Everybody
yeah,
can't say
right. So a lot of times when I hear some discussion, and again, I asked you about your perspective because I haven't heard yours. I didn't hear everybody else's, but I've heard other people's. It's like, I wonder, where does the negativity come from? Because we decided to close the doors.
Because people don't like you, John. People
exactly. That's what it is. Because people don't like you.
People don't like. I mean,
jealousy. That's all it is. Jealousy.
Here's the thing.
People did have problems with you, and
Yeah.
and I think you as the head of Short Fuse,
Right.
Short Fuse got a lot of backlash, or a lot of unwarranted negativity, just because they didn't like how you operated. But like I said, you were about the business, and to me, it was mostly positive. And I want to say props to you too, because when you came back, when you were talking about coming back, you actually came to Heroes Con
Yeah.
and brought me a box of stuff, that you still had in storage, from my time with Short Losers. All the t-shirts at the towards the end, I had handmade pressed t-shirts and stuff, and I had sent them because I wanted to get them added to the store, but ended up shutting down, so it didn't happen. And Sean kept those shirts and literally brought them to me at a show. I gave him some flack at the show. I did give him some flack at the show. I had to call him out, but it's all love, man. It's all fun with me, man. So,
I mean,
like I said,
just
man, shout out to you, and I hope the return is worth it for you.
just to piggyback off of that a little bit. I mean, I think at the end of the day, what goes up, it got to come down at some point. You know what I'm saying? Short Fuse went up, and we went up fast. We went up extremely fast, and we did a lot of things. And people pray. They hope to see you fall. They hope to see you come down. And to me, I still feel like, to be honest, when Short Fuse shut the doors, we shut the doors in a good space. We were on top. Whether or not people had personal issues with me is one thing. You know what I'm saying? But as far as, can anybody say I owe them money? Can anybody say I owe them product? Can anybody say no? It's not. That's not a reality. You know what I'm saying? It might have been some washes. It might have been some washes in the mix where I may have had this much. Somebody may have had this much invested, but I had the same amount invested, so it washed. And then on top of that, I made it known and gave everybody back their rights, and there was no rights, no fights over rights or anything like that. Everybody had the rights to their stuff. Everybody got their publishing rights back. I didn't keep anybody's characters or anything like that. Everything was good. Everybody went on about their business, and that was it. And as you said, I gave the opportunity to Mike to take it over, and if he wanted to do it, and that's a conversation that me and him had, and it's a conversation we still have to this day.
So we do have a couple questions here. One from Facebook user: when are we going to see more Grit?
So Grit is one of the properties. Grit is the only property that was at Short Fuse at the time that we actually owned. Of course, I purchased the rights to Grits from Jordan Johnson after he didn't deliver on his Kickstarter. And again, he was one of the initial people I tried to bring on a Short Fuse, and he said he just didn't want to have anything to do with the character anymore. And, he said he'd be more apt to just letting it go. And I said, well, cool, I'll buy it from you. And I bought the character and bought the rights, and nothing, I don't own anything. It went to the company. And at the end of the day, Grit will be coming back soon. David Jackson is working on a project for Grit. And I have another artist working on a project for Grit. So depending on whenever they get stuff done, that's when you start seeing something new come out with Grit. So
Bet. I remember Ace Blade handing Grit some furious defeat, man. But we don't have to talk about that right now. So
because it didn't happen.
I think it did. I feel like it did happen. But no, man, it's like I said, it's good to see you come back, man. So man, but the cuts and comics, I want to get back to that. Starting a new venture can be tough, man. It can be it can be an arduous process. But you're a person that I know who's always cared about like the business and doing things as business savvy as possible. So what's the process like for you? Because that's one of the things that happened with my studio. Like one of the reasons I had to shut down is because I just couldn't invest the time there because I still work a full-time job. We got 4 kids, my wife runs a business. I couldn't invest the time in the space to hire the right people to come in and run it while I couldn't be there. I didn't have the processes. I couldn't put the processes in place, for people who weren't me, who didn't know the things that I knew, to be able to do them, while I wasn't there. So can you speak to, getting all that stuff set up? Because I know a lot of indie comic book creators are just, out here doing the best they can, and there's a whole business side that we don't, I hate most of the business stuff. I hate it, but it's such a necessity. Like you have to learn this stuff because when the money starts coming in, you got to have that stuff right, or the government will come after you. So can you speak to like the desire to learn that stuff, and what are the most important parts that you need to learn?
I mean, it's weird with me that I actually gravitate more towards understanding business metrics and things like that. I always have. You, I mean, you know me, Danny. You know, I'm definitely more in tune to the business end of stuff. Right now, I'm focused on WWE's deal with Netflix. Like, oh, what made them do a $5 billion deal with them? What is the intricacies of that? So, you know, with me, it's always fun to understand the business metrics. But I would just say understanding your taxes, understanding your local taxes, and you know the things that you are actually responsible for is a big part of it. Understanding withholding taxes and things like that; those things are detrimental. Understanding what you can write off versus what you can't write off. Those are very important things. It's the same way with short fuse. You have to understand what things are business expenses, you know, which things are not business expenses, and how does that look like, and having the right team in place that can help you when you don't know the answers and knowing who to go to. People don't want to invest in teams, which is part of the reason why short fuse was set up. It was a definitive consistent pattern of people saying, oh, we should just create the next image. We should just a bunch of indie creators just get together and create the next image. And I'm like, have you guys researched Image? Have you seen how Image ran? Image started off one as the rock stars of the industry, not as a bunch of indie creators. It was the guys that owned 70% of the market of what was actually selling. 70%. That's a crazy amount. If you think about it, 70% of the books that were selling at Marvel and DC was the Image founders. So you got the rock stars that came in and decided they wanted to make a company and do it on their own. But the funny thing is, when they started, they weren't, even though they started a publishing company, they weren't their own publishers. Malibu was their publishers. But a lot of people don't know that. They don't factor that in. They just look at it and say, oh, this is what they did. They also don't know that when Image started, that they had a lot of business issues. A lot of business issues. So it's like if you're
internal issues also.
Right, internal issues, but I mean, just focusing on the business aspect, they had a lot of issues with the way they operated their business. So if you're getting into a similar business, and I say similar because I firmly believe no two indie creators' businesses are the same. I firmly believe that. If you're looking at it from a business standpoint and you're doing research on businesses, which is considered market research, you should research what pitfalls other businesses ran into, and if things like operational structure is part of it, and things like, you know, just operational structure being the biggest piece, then maybe you should focus on how you're going to do a different operational structure. Our operational structure had lawyers involved, it had accountants involved, it had bookkeepers involved, it had financial directors involved, it had an art director involved to make sure we had a certain brand image, and it had me with operations, me just running the ship and basically being the George Steinbrenner and collecting everybody like Pokemon balls, like Michael used to say. So, I mean, you got to look at all these different things in whatever business that you're deciding to operate, because otherwise you're just going to run into bigger issues on the back end. And that's something you really don't want to get into.
Yeah.
You've always been very open about giving out advice and just helping the people around you. Where did this need to help others with the business aspect of things come from?
I'm from Detroit. Long story short, I'm from Detroit. And Detroit, we used to have a thing when I was younger. It was called the OGs. The OGs, you know, talk to the younger guys. You know, they would part upon you all kind of wisdom and say, hey, this is what you should be doing. The way you're doing this, the way you're moving is wrong. I would say this. The entire time when I was making indie comics, I didn't have any OGs like that. I didn't have anybody that I could lean on. But I did have mentors, and you know, I would say even when I got to being to the point where I was, you know, maybe saying things that I shouldn't be saying publicly and things like that, I did have OGs from Detroit, like Todd Johnson, who would reach out to me and say, "Hey, Sean, dial it back a little bit. Hey, you need to, you need to pull back a little bit. You shouldn't even address these things." And you know, me and Todd never had any interactions that weren't great. And again, I'm happy to see him back with Tribe. And again, I didn't have a lot of experiences with Larry, but Todd, I don't know if it's because we're both from Detroit, but he always felt like he could reach out to me, and I appreciated that. And to me, that's the era I come from. So for me, if I see that somebody is struggling with something or somebody is doing something and they can do it a different way, not that my way works, because again, I never claimed to give advice. I always just said I provided my experiences. There was always no advice, just experience. From my experience, you could do it like this, and it might work out better for you. And for a lot of creators, it worked. The things that I said to them worked, and they would give me those flowers. We talked about, like I said, the negativity on the short fuse, I guess, ending thing or temporary setback thing. It's funny to me because I still have the flowers that I receive from a lot of creators that say negative stuff publicly. I still have the flowers that it's said to be privately about how awesome short fuse is. So it's like, people have their reasonings for saying the things that they say and the things that they do.
Now, with you saying you're from Detroit,
yeah, it's from Detroit. We hustle hard, man.
Has your city recovered from my Niners whipping their ass yet?
Hey, so
I just don't know.
let me tell you something. When it comes to that, I don't watch sports, so I don't even get involved in that. You've never seen me make any kind of comment or post about any kind of sports. The last time I watched any sports seriously was me watching the Detroit Pistons. The last time they were the champions. Beyond that, I don't really watch sports. I wear this D hat every time you see me. You're gonna see me in a different D hat because that's just something that we do from Detroit. It's just the thing. But I'm not a Tigers fan. I'm not a Lions fan. Any sports, I got nothing for you. But we have some different conversations about that later, though.
I'm rooting for your 49ers, but
Thank you, sir.
We'll see. We'll see. I'll be happy for you if they win. If they win,
we're gonna win. We're gonna win.
Yeah,
I cannot wait for tomorrow. We are gonna win.
I'll be happy for you. Man, I think one thing. Circle back on what you were just talking about, the mentor thing. Man, I think that there has always been kind of a lack of maybe not a lack of mentors, but just like accessible people.
Like credible mentors. There's a lot of people that are willing to give out advice that don't know what they're talking about.
Right. A lack of credible. I like that, Kyron. But then also, I've had people, because especially now with TikTok, man, I've had people reach out to me about things, and then I give, just like you always say, I say, hey, in my experience, this is what works, this is what doesn't. Of course, everything is going to be different because we're different personalities. Maybe you don't want to use social media. You got to figure out what works for you. But a lot of times the people who are asking for the advice don't want to take the advice or are resistant to, like, people will ask you for your advice and then be like, nah, that ain't gonna work. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think it has to be a give and take. It has to be a give and take.
So I've got that sometimes. And you gotta, I mean, long story short, you gotta know how to detach when those type of individuals approach you. You don't want to waste your time either. Your time is your most valuable resource, right? But you'll know who it is. But like at one point in my life, I worked at Home Depot, right? And I worked in the plumbing department. And people would come in and they'd come into the plumbing department and say, hey, I got this problem with my sink and it's leaking from here, and this is what I need to, and what do I need to do to fix it? Just for you to say, okay, well, here, if you get this piece and put it together like this will fix it. So they can turn around and say, well, no, I'd rather do it like this and like this. Well, at that point, you got to, here's the stuff you need. Since you want to do it that way, you got to sell them what they need and go on about your business. You get what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, you can't control it. But I look at it like this. When I'm in management, when I've been in management positions at different companies, I've always countered that by telling my salespeople that first and foremost, you don't let the customer sell you. You sell the customer. And the customer, in this case, would be the person that's seeking advice. You don't let them sell you. You sell them. Meaning, when you go to the doctor's office, you don't tell the doctor what prescriptions you need. The doctor tells you what prescriptions you need. When you go to the mechanic, well, in most cases, I mean, well, you hope they do the right thing. In most cases, when you go to a mechanic, good mechanic, let's preface that, good mechanic, when you go to a mechanic that you trust, you don't tell the mechanic what you need done. The mechanic tells you what's wrong with your car and what you need to do to fix it. You get what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. That's the hallmark of good salesmanship, one, and good business relations. When you trying to give somebody advice, you basically got to sell them. At the end of the day, there was this movie called, I believe it was The Boiler Room, and it was a discussion in that movie where somebody said, at the end of the day, somebody getting sold. Who's going to be the one getting sold? Is it you getting sold or the person that's talking to you? Somebody's going to sell somebody. And for me, I'd rather be the one doing the selling than getting sold. Just makes sense to me, especially if you're coming to me.
Absolutely. Much more.
All right. Well, I guess this is the time since we had this little break where we should do Dan's quick takes.
I'm ready. Let's do it.
All right.
We need a new producer. We need a new producer, man. This is crazy. Yeah, see, look, I remember this right here. See, I feel like we need to finish this because there was one point where Grit was smacking Ace Blade around, and there was one point where Ace Blade had to glow, and had to take your boy Grit out. So I feel like we need a third round or something like that to finish this finally.
I recently watched another one of your episodes, and you said Ace Blaze go sit these out. He's not messing with the big dogs. I think it was something about Kyron's character Zob fighting lumberjacks and their power levels. And he was like, Ace Blade just gonna sit out and stick to the jokers. I think you should have that same mentality when it comes to Ace Blade and Grit.
Grit's not on that level. He's in that range where I feel like Ace Blade can take him out. Like he's confident. He got the confidence of a Michael Jordan when it comes to Grit. There's certain
got the confidence of Michael Jordan, but the shot of Swaggy P though.
Yeah. I vaguely remember Ace Blade getting smacked through the fourth wall. So I think we should leave that alone.
Vaguely. All right. So quick takes.
Respectfully.
So if anyone hasn't seen the segment, this is quick takes. Is a rapid fire Q&A section where we grill our guests with 5 questions that they have to answer back to back with 45 seconds off the top of their head. So, Sean Mack, quick takes. Let's go. Question number 1. For the rest of your life, if you could only do cuts or comics, you had to leave one. Cuts or comics. Pick one for the rest of your life. Which one would it be?
That's easy. Comics. I'm not a barber.
You know what I mean, though. If you can run,
you said this answer.
If I can do cuts or comics, I'm not a barber. I'll do comics.
But there it is. Then that's a good.
There it is.
All right.
It's got to be a record. It's got to be a record.
Question number 2. Since you were talking about movies earlier, I need to know finally.
Do you have the potato chips?
Give me 1 second. Do I have what?
The potato chips.
I don't have the potato chips, Olivia. I'm sorry.
I got Doritos.
I'll tell Kendra to bring you back some. Okay. I love you. Okay.
That's so cute.
The kids. I want to get you on record because I know what your answer is. Just for everybody else to hear. Bruce Leroy or Daniel LaRusso, and why, sir?
I'm gonna go Bruce Leroy all day.
Okay. And why is that?
He got vanity. Serious? That was, and listen. Vanity was my second childhood crush. You're not gonna. If I got to pick between one or the other, I'm gonna go with Bruce Leroy. Bruce Leroy, yes, he got the. That's my brother, and it's going down.
The master. Absolutely. All right, here we go. Question number 3. Now, this one is a hard-hitting question. Okay, and I'm curious on your perspective on this one. We've seen, the history. We talked about the history with Short Fuse, and you talked about how Todd gave you some advice on how to you might need to bring it back a little bit. So my question number 3 is, do you think that the drama is good for comics?
No.
And this is not just indie comics. This is because they got drama on the big level in the big 2 too. So what do you think?
No, I don't think it's good. I think it's silly in a lot of cases, which is why in many of those cases where there were quote unquote drama, I tried to end it quickly. And for me, it was always, I'm gonna stand on facts. I'll bring out the receipts because again, we live in a digital age. There's always proof. And I felt bad on many cases on bringing the proof to the light, but
Mhm.
I don't have a problem doing it if it was to protect the brand. Because for me, protecting the brand of Short Fuse was protecting Ace Blade. It was protecting Lumberjacks. It was protecting like Father Like Daughter. It was protecting Freestyle Comics and Hot Shot and everything else. So no, I don't think the drama is good, but I think we could end all the speculation on stuff if you just bring out the facts real quick, because people can't respond to the facts. So
Sure, I'm with you on that. Okay, so question number 4, and this is one too. You might need more than 45 seconds,
okay.
but one of the best things about your time, no more than no. Kyrie says no.
All right, that's rule.
Your time, like I said, the thing that attracted me to Short Fuse was the branding, the We Always Deliver campaign, and I knew that I needed help with that. So I say that you're a great marketer when it comes to comics and in business in general. So in 45 seconds, I want you to give your best marketing advice to comic book creators.
Personal branding, which you've heard me say a million times. Be who you are and be who you want people to view you as in your social media exploits, in anything that you do with branding of your business. We don't live in an age where people respond to businesses and products anymore. People respond to people. The reason that Larry Stroman did not block Danny after seeing him on social media is because he saw him everywhere and said, oh, he's also in the comics. If that comic piece hadn't been in there, because Danny in his social media was referencing the fact that he does comics, then he would have been blocked by Larry Stroman and he would have never got that nice artwork that he just got.
Facts. Absolutely. Be yourself. I think that's great advice. All right now. So question 5. You watch the show, so question 5 is always a top 5. Because we got another show on Tuesdays, Top 5 Live, Tuesdays at 8. So now I gotta put you in drama. I gotta put you in the drama seat. All right, because this is gonna make some people mad. But I want to know from 5 to 1, off the top of your head,
All the time, Carrie.
which what are the top 5 characters or properties that were with Short Fuse that have the brightest future? From 5 to 1, 5 being who has a
He's
bright
hoping Ace Blade's number 1. You know that,
and
right?
number 1 who has the brightest future.
The brightest future, I'm gonna start with Grit.
Okay.
Definitely Grit.
Grit at 5 or 1?
Nah, Grit number 1. Grit has Grit number 1.
Grit
Number 2,
right?
yeah, number 2, I think would be, I would say Stealth, because I think I'm gonna still have a small part in that. Let's see, number 3. I'm gonna go with Hot Shot. Because I think I'm gonna, if the end of the day, I think I'm gonna make sure that my brother get some love.
4 and 5.
Let's go with 5-star and Ace Blade.
5-star and Ace Blade. Okay,
that's a 5-star.
So basically, all the three that you gonna have something to do with, and then just 2 random ones thrown in there. That's basically what you, 2 random ones because they're
hey,
right now.
You structured the question. I'm biased. I mean, what am I supposed to say? The way you structured the question, you could have said 5. You could have said 5 indie creators or indie properties and just went with that. But you made it about Short Fuse.
Hey, yeah, they had to be Short Fuse. All right.
Yeah.
So appreciate that, man. Appreciate you doing that. Those quick takes for us, man. That was fun.
That was not fun, but okay.
It was fun. It's all quick takes is always fun for me.
Yeah, man, that's not fun.
Is Quick Takes sponsored by anybody this week?
Quick Takes is sponsored.
It's sponsored by the San Francisco 49ers, who are going to win tomorrow, get our 6th championship, and they better win, because if they don't win, we might not have a show next week. I'm gonna be depressed all week. I'm just letting y'all know.
Go Christian McCaffrey. I'm rooting so hard for Christian McCaffrey.
Hopefully, Kyron put some money on that. The way he rooting for him all on the show.
I can't say that on air because my wife sometimes listens to these shows. So
maybe we can afford a producer if the 49ers win and our show quality goes way up. You know why? We're like, oh, they got that applause button. That's okay. I see. see somebody did the right thing.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it.
All right. Now this has been fun, Sean. We want to make sure everybody checks you out, checks out your social media, and keeps in contact with you. So where can people find you online?
On all social media, you can find me at Sean Mack Live. Check out the Cuts and Comics Facebook page. Facebook/Cuts and Comics. Beyond that, Short Fuse will be making its returns soon. Projects are in development right now. And I'm shocked that Danny didn't get into the nitty gritty on that one, but it's cool. It's cool because I thought he
Wait,
was
does
gonna be
Danny
Team
know?
Splitter. Nah, I thought he said he was asking hard hitting questions and stuff, and I'm like, all right, well, I'm ready, and I said I answer anything, but he ain't asked. So if y'all
we
about
got
to
more
end this,
time.
no, we're not. No, I heard Kyron just say,
We
this
got
has
more
been
time.
fun. This has been fun. This has been fun. Kyron shut it
Usually
down.
we end the show after quick takes, but I mean, if y'all want to talk some more, I can stay for a little longer.
Tell us about it.
Kyron shut it down, and Kyron said we were done. So hey, listen, I guess
The
everybody
button-
got to stay tuned.
I see it still says live in the corner, but Larry Truman and Mr. Ty Johnson gave us a sneak peek on the they told us what they got coming up with Tribe. Tell us what's coming up with Short Fuse. When can we expect to see some new Short Fuse projects?
I would say definitely this year we're going to see something new. I already spoke about Grit, some projects with Grit being involved, and it's more than one project with Grit. But I can definitely see some other projects. You guys had my girl. You had my girl on here. Another thing, like again, people and people have their opinions. Kat Calamia, that's my girl.
Cat mode,
killing it.
We still talk to this day. I
Cat
just actually talked to her a couple days ago. And she mentioned something on here that Danny will know that I used to mention all the time on what properties and what kind of projects actually go on Kickstarter, which will go. And I was saying this years ago. And one of the things that she talked about was the not safe for work stuff. And I do have at least one project that will fall into that realm. That'll probably be coming out soon. It's kind of in the same boat as hers though. It's story first. It's definitely gonna be story first. Not anything that's just for the sake of, but it definitely be story first. And it'd be action based because again, I'm not gonna veer away from that. I'm not slice of life creator. As you all know, when I write, I write with a purpose. It's usually gonna be some comedy. Which Danny, I really need to get Danny to do some comedy stuff.
No, see, I've been asking Danny to write me scripts for like 2 books for a year now. He ain't done either one, so no, he can't do anything more.
Yeah. Remember how I told you sometimes you got to be the one selling?
Yeah, I know.
You got to sell it. You got to sell them. You can't let them sell you. So
it.
in that situation, it sounds like Danny's selling you. You got to sell Danny. So and it's ways to do it.
Danny be like, "Oh, okay, I'm gonna get on that, but hey, I got this script for Ballad of Black Rose. I'm gonna pay you to do." So I'm like, "Oh, I'm getting paid." All right,
you got sold. You got sold.
Yeah, you got sold. You got sold.
Hey,
you got sold.
I got
you
paid.
Definitely got sold in that situation. There's nothing wrong with it, and it's nothing wrong with getting sold. I mean, just sometimes some people are better salespeople than others.
We'll sell each other. Like I guess. I don't know if that came out right, but yeah.
I don't know if that came out right. There's a little pause on that one.
The little pause. We're gonna put a little pause on that.
A little pause.
Man, absolutely. Y'all Sean Mack Live, man. I know it's some great stuff coming out, and we'll be looking forward to it, brother, for sure.
Appreciate that, man, and congratulations on everything you guys are doing. Congratulations on all the guests you guys doing. Eric Larson, Todd Johnson, Larry Stroman. That's crazy. That's crazy. Who would have thought that before pandemic, things like that you guys would be able to get Eric Larson, the publisher of Image Comics, just to sit and just talk about comics with you.
Yeah.
Good job. Great.
Appreciate it. Thank you, man. Thank you. Kyra, where can people find you?
No, you're supposed to do yours first, remember?
Fine. If you're looking for me, you can find me at www.fourthwallpros.com and at The Ace Blade on all social media platforms. Kyron, where can people find you?
You can find me at tauruscomics.com. You can catch me on all social media at Taurus Comics. And if this is your first time checking out the Four Tales podcast, you can go to our website, fourtalespodcast.com. That's TALES podcast.com. You can listen to our previous episodes. And please join us next week where we are going to have Jason Reeves, publisher for 131 I can't say
133
133 art.
art.
My mouth is still waking up. But he's gonna be on the show. We're gonna talk about his books and everything coming up. So, John, thank you for being on again. This is great, but I gotta go. I gotta go grocery shopping, y'all. So until next time, sayonara, goodbye, and everyone, please take care of yourselves.
Peace.
I want to know what it is Quick is trying to say.